Alright, so as much as it surprises me and pains me to say it, I'm gonna end up selling my Xbox Series X. Now, before everybody loses their minds, I understand. I put out a video before. I bought the Xbox Series S initially. Then what I ended up doing was I ended up returning it, and I ended up picking up the Xbox Series X. And essentially the gist of that video was I just felt that the Xbox Series X had enough features that I felt like it justified the $200 price upgrade in terms of the storage, in terms of having a disk drive. You're able to do 120 hertz in 4K, the teraflops. All this stuff I think justified the price for me to have the extra $200 so that I can play any of my old Xbox games and essentially be a genuine machine that covers all of the history of the Xbox. However, after owning the Xbox Series X for many, many months now, playing it, having Game Pass Ultimate, I really feel like this doesn't fit into the ecosystem of the current console generation. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, first of all, I want to start off by saying this is a fantastic console. In terms of engineering and design, I think it looks really well. It performs really well. It's very, very much optimized, okay? So it's a SSD drive, super fast, super quiet, super air efficient, gets things done really quickly. The quick resume is a testament to that. And overall, in terms of engineering, in terms of a console, this is absolutely fantastic. Now, the controller that's paired with this, besides the fact that I wish it actually had rechargeable batteries that came into the package, because we are paying $500 for this thing. So having rechargeable batteries built in would have been fantastic. Other than that, the controller is amazing as well. Now, the controller is essentially identical to what it was on the Xbox Series X. Not much different there. I mean, the Xbox One X, I should say. Not much different there. The UI on this system, although the UI is good, you get used to it. It's really good. Once you understand exactly how it works, you're able to do everything you need to do. The UI is the same as the Xbox One X. So it lacks a little bit in terms of innovation, but actually this is a fantastic piece of hardware. But then you may be thinking, why? Why? If you feel like the console is that good, why are you returning it? Especially after the fact that, returning, I'm selling it. It's too late. I can't return it now. But especially after you bought an Xbox Series S and you upgraded it for this. And I understand. It's odd. It's a little bit strange. I'm not so indecisive. I just was lucky enough to be able to get all the consoles. I own a PlayStation 5, I own a Nintendo Switch OLED model, and I do own an Xbox Series X, but I just feel like after owning it for this much time, where does this fit into the ecosystem? I don't know where it fits into the ecosystem, and to be honest, in my opinion, I think if you have the option of picking up the consoles, this might be your least preferable option. Now, why do I say this? Number one, Game Pass Ultimate. Game Pass Ultimate is absolutely amazing. I am not a proponent for digital games. I prefer physical media. You can see that I have a collection of physical games. I prefer the physical media. That's why I wanted a disc drive. But Game Pass Ultimate is such a good deal that it makes the physical media, physical discs, the physical capability of this console sort of obsolete. Now you have the new Madden coming out on it. Halo Infinite launched on it, Forza Motorsport launched on it. So essentially any decent exclusive Xbox game, which you can pretty much only play on a Microsoft, it's a Microsoft exclusive. If you have a PC powerful enough, you can play all these things on PC. But in terms of the console space, anything that's exclusive is being included on Game Pass. I ended up getting the actual physical copy of Halo Infinite because I wanted the Steelbook. Again, I prefer physical media. But then the disc was pretty much useless. I played Halo Infinite exclusively, and I still play Halo Infinite exclusively through Game Pass. There's absolutely no need to own it. I only own 2 Xbox games, and that's the Master Chief Collection and Rise Son of Rome. If you remember, that was like a launch title, which I think really should have a sequel, but it doesn't. But those are the only games that I own. Now, I have a small collection of Xbox games, and when I had the Xbox Series X, I really thought that, you know what, I'm going to play some of the older games. I ended up not really playing much of the older games. The games are optimized. It's awesome that this thing is backwards compatible straight out of the box, and that's probably the only reason I can really think of actually owning an Xbox Series X. If you really are that diehard and passionate about playing the old Xbox games, this is an all-in-one package where you can play anything Xbox. But other than that, this really doesn't offer anything too different. Now, in terms of AAA games, the games run fantastic here, but they also run fantastic on the PlayStation 5. I still think that honestly this is built better than a PlayStation 5. This feels more rugged. The design is better. I actually prefer this type of design. It's quieter. The quick resume feature is fantastic. But in terms of AAA games, you can just play them on PlayStation 5. Then on top of that, in terms of exclusive games, Microsoft really doesn't have much. It hasn't had much even in the last generation. So I don't really foresee some huge advantage of some kind of exclusive Microsoft game that's going to be exclusive to the console, that's going to be a game changer. At this point, that might happen. It really can. But at this point, there really isn't that. And then you might as well have a PlayStation, because PlayStation actually banks off of their exclusives. That's one of the things that they push, is their exclusive games. Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, so many other exclusive games, Last of Us, so many other fantastic exclusive games that come out on the PlayStation console. So you might as well have a PlayStation 5, because then you can still enjoy the AAA games, and you can enjoy the exclusives. Now, what if you want like a secondary console? In order to play anything Nintendo, you have to own a Nintendo Switch. So if you're able to have two consoles, you might as well have a PlayStation 5 and you might as well have a Nintendo Switch. I don't know where this really fits in. Now, let's say that you really do enjoy some of the Microsoft exclusives. Game Pass Ultimate, like I said, it's a fantastic deal. In that situation, why not pick up an Xbox Series S? Now, I owned both. And although I felt when I had the Xbox Series S, $200 justified all the extra features, I didn't really enjoy any of the extra features. And as Game Pass Ultimate keeps getting better and better, now that Microsoft has acquired Activision Blizzard, and now we can have even more games added to Game Pass, and Game Pass becomes an even better value, now you can all of that is digital anyway. All those games, although you're paying a subscription, you don't own them, you're renting them digitally. So at that point, the disk drive doesn't even matter. And honestly, the fact that you have a library like Game Pass Ultimate, it allows you to experiment and play all these different types of games. And that's what's been happening with me. I don't have a lot of free time, but when I do, if I hear a good game is out there and people are playing it, and then I happen to see it on Game Pass, I end up giving it a try because I have nothing to lose at that point. So most of the time, I'm playing digital games on this console. Now, what about some of the backwards compatible games, which, like I said, that's the one reason why I would think that you should keep this console? A lot of those games end up going on sale. So you can actually get digital copies of older Xbox games for really cheap, and then you can store them on your device. So now I'm starting to really feel that if you're really in the mood for something that's an exclusive to Microsoft, such as playing Halo and everything, you might be better off just having an Xbox Series S. And on top of that, the Xbox Series S, you can probably get them even new at places like Costco, and people are selling their Xbox Series S's. You can get it for like $280, $275, which is actually a fantastic deal compared to $499, $500 for this device here. So now at this point, I'm starting to feel like I sort of regret returning the Xbox Series S and picking up the Xbox Series X. Although this is a fantastic console, and it's more powerful, way more powerful than the Xbox Series S, you're still able to enjoy the games because you have an SSD there, and you know that Microsoft is supporting the Series S. You know that's not going anywhere. So if any major exclusive comes out, it's probably going to come out on Game Pass. And when it comes out on Game Pass, you don't own it. Having this disk drive here doesn't even make a difference. So if you really want to experience any of those games, you might as well pick up the Series S. Now, there is one limitation, the storage. That might be a problem for some people because, you store a lot of games and this and that. I don't play a ton of games all at the same time. When I'm enjoying a certain type of game, I'm enjoying that certain type of game, and then I don't really jump in back and forth too much. If I'm playing a few games, it's usually like 2, maybe 3 games the most, all at one time. You can probably fit that into the Xbox Series S. I didn't have, personally, when I had it, for the brief amount of time that I did have it, I didn't have a huge problem. You play something and you can have to manage it. If you really want to buy the accessory piece, then it becomes kind of pricey. Then you may want to consider picking up an Xbox Series X. But other than that, I really am starting to lean towards, I think the Xbox Series S, if you're really craving some Microsoft gaming, might be a good console for you. Otherwise, as Game Pass Ultimate keeps getting better and better, it just doesn't justify owning this. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with this. I feel like in any other generation, if there was no Xbox Series S and this was your only option, this is a fantastic console. Pair this with Game Pass Ultimate, fantastic. It's fully backwards compatible. On paper, everything is fine. On paper, it all makes sense, and that's why personally I returned the Xbox Series S and picked up the Series X. But after owning it, I just don't know where it fits. It just doesn't fit, to be honest. I played through Halo Infinite. I do enjoy the multiplayer, but I'm probably gonna stop playing Halo Infinite. When I had the Xbox One X, I had that basically since that thing launched. I had the Master Chief Collection. I played a ton of that. Other than that, I didn't buy anything else because there was really nothing else to buy. I instead invested my money on the PlayStation because I was able to enjoy the AAA games and I was able to enjoy the exclusives. And that's what I feel like is happening now once more. I find myself playing the PlayStation more often. I love playing the Xbox because of Game Pass Ultimate so I can experiment. This is sort of like my experimental console. But $500 for an experimental console, for a console where I'm playing things digitally most of the time anyway, it just doesn't justify it for me. Like, I just feel that for now, I have my fill of Xbox. I think I'm good. I think if something else comes out and I really am in the mood for Xbox, I think I can just pick up a Series S. They're not even that hard to find, and I can get it for under $300. After taxes, maybe at $300. So at this point, I just feel like this was an unnecessary purchase. I kind of purchased this because I thought on paper everything looked great about it, and I thought it was worth it. But for me personally, I think that from all the consoles, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and the Xbox Series consoles, the Xbox Series X is really the outlier. And don't forget, to really gain the benefit of everything this thing has to offer, you have to have an expensive TV that can do 4K at 120 hertz. I own one of those TVs. I have a TV that's capable of that. And yet I still feel that this is sort of unnecessary. I'm more than happy to have my PlayStation 5 for my AAA games and the great, fantastic Sony exclusives that I know are going to be coming out there. And I'm okay with having my Nintendo Switch for all the Nintendo games that I still enjoy to play. Now, for all the great Microsoft things, which Microsoft, like I said, has a lot of great things to offer, I think for me, an Xbox Series S is going to be more than sufficient. So now, after owning a Series S, returning it, picking up a Series X, and enjoying it, I just feel like in the ecosystem of this gaming generation, Xbox Series X is the one that kind of has to go. I can't really justify keeping it anymore, so I will be selling my Xbox Series X. So those are my thoughts. I know, kind of crazy after I have videos in the past comparing the Xbox Series S and the One X and thinking about what to do, and I ended up picking up Series X, and I was really happy. I really was happy, and I still, like I said, I don't dislike it. But I just feel like the more I know that I have another $500 gaming system that literally I'm just playing Game Pass Ultimate on, and I'm not really doing anything more with it, I'm not really using the disc drive whatsoever at this point. Even though I own original Xbox games, I enjoy the backwards compatibility, I just can't justify keeping this console anymore. Even though I really like the console. I like the console. But I think in an ecosystem, for people who don't have tons of disposable income, I think it's worth it to just try to get a PlayStation 5, enjoy the PS5, and if you need an accessory console, get the Nintendo console so that you can enjoy the Nintendo exclusives. And if you still have, you still need your Xbox fix, get the Series S as your secondary console, enjoy everything digitally, and just move on. That's kind of where I'm leaning at now. I would be curious to know your thoughts down below. I hope you guys don't think that I just keep changing my mind and I'm very indecisive, because usually I'm not, honestly. But I'm true to myself. I know what I like, and I know what I feel like is worth my time and money. And when something I feel like might not be worth it, I'm not afraid to just be like, okay, you know what? I bought it. I spent the money. I got my value out of it. Now it's time to let someone else maybe enjoy it. So those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below. Curious to hear what you guys are going to say. If you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate it. And until next time.